Sorry for the disconnection. So we were at assignment. So I was explaining that assignment is basically in computer science is from right to left. Okay, in computer science, the assignment is from right to left. So whatever is on the right is always the literal, and whatever on the left is always the identifier. That is why in pseudocode, instead of equal to sign, we use left pointing arrow. All right, what do we use? Left pointing arrows. So if it is name, that is solution, we basically put that word solutions in the string, and that string will be assigned to name. And in this case, the literal is actually an integer. And then that 25 will be assigned to exam marks. Okay. Now, this symbol is used in pseudocode, whereas equal to sign is used in other languages. Okay, so mind it, but your examiner would not mind if you use equal to sign instead of arrow, left pointing arrow. That is absolutely fine. So when a value is assigned to a variable, an assignment symbol is used. Assignment is always done right to left, and otherwise it is incorrect. All right. So if it is written a is equal to 5, it is correct. If 5 is equal to 8, this is incorrect, because we cannot assign a variable to a constant literal. All right. Now, this symbol is used in pseudocode, whereas this symbol is used in languages. So you have to be very much careful about it. Then comes constants. Constant is basically a value which you never mean to change. It is a value which you never mean to change. It is a value which is fixed, and it is fixed by either the environment or yourself. Like pi 3.142, it is decided, and no one ever mean to change it. Now, similarly, when we program, there will be many occasions when it will be absolutely necessary to fix a literal constant for a type of variable that will be necessary. So let's say this is tax rate, 23.75, and in Visual Basic, this is again the same. But in pseudocode, we use the whole word constant as a command. Constant tax rate is equal to 23.75, and in Visual Basic, it is just CONST. CONST, tax rate is equal to 23.75. Constants held memory locations which once made cannot be changed. Like variable, the name vary means that the value which is in that particular memory location, which is mentioned by the identifier, which is variable in nature, can be changed. But if it is a constant, it was declared as a constant, it is also a declaration. Then if someone attempts to, while the program is being executed, no. It cannot be changed. System will protect, will guard this data. The question is, if we make a variable text rate, assign this value, and use the word text rate all over the program, no matter our program is like 100,000 lines program. And when the text rate is changed, we reopen the program and assign or change. If after 1 year, if the value of text rate is changed, we just go to the top of the program and change it, and it will be repeated. Yes, that is true. That constant in actual means is not required sometimes. That is why languages like Python, they do not have any command for constants. So now the question comes that why do we need constants? So your syllabus will describe, your questions would have this thing in it. The question will ask you to create a constant and use that constant. So let's think for the constant this way, that we will use constants whenever they are required by the question. Otherwise, it's totally up to your choice whether you like it or you don't. Okay. Then we discuss about declarations. Then there are programming constructs. Every single program which is made is having basically one of these constructs. What are these constructs? These are the forms of data, forms of programming lines that we use to create the whole program. These are also called control structures and language constructs. Constructs are syntactically allowable parts of the program that may be formed in accordance with the rules of the programming language. Simply put, the sequence means the sequence of instruction that we have written. Selection means the use of if and if, case and case, iterations, loops, for loop, repeat loop, while loop, assignments and input output. Assignment and input output are questionable areas for the constructs, but yes, sometimes they somewhere appear as the part of the constructs, but sequence, selection, iteration are for sure constructs. Then declaration. In computer science, variable declaration means when programmer wants to hold data in main memory, they write a command for that. For example, dim student grade as character in Visual Basic.NET, or declare my name as a string in pseudocode. Where dim stands for declare in memory, and it's a command for computer to find a space in computer memory. Student grade is an identifier, and then character here is a data type that is used to allocate a space amount. All right. Now, declaration, what it does, it finds enough space in RAM. How much space? Enough space. What does it mean, enough? Enough means as prescribed by the type's intrinsic size. If it is character, it is 1 byte. If it is date, it is 8 bytes. If it is integer, it is 4 bytes. If it is currency, it is 8 bytes. If it is Boolean, it is 1 byte. If it is text, it is 1 byte. So that much space. Finds enough space in RAM and holds it as reserved until the current program is being executed. Once that program is stopped, that place that is held is released. It makes sure that data that is being assigned to the reserved space is as per the defined format. What does it mean? I told you at the start that the types are not just the types, they are basically the format of zeros and ones the pattern of zeros and ones that the type will take when it will be converted to the binary form. So that system knows that this sort of pattern is for that particular data type. Okay. Means sometimes when the data is being entered, system is guarding the type of the data. Then it maps the reserved space address to the chosen identifier. So let's say dim A as integer. So it means that find 4 bytes in the computer's memory. Let's say we have found 60, 59, 58, and 50. So from 57 until 64 bytes are now reserved. So 57, 58, 59, and 60. Then you assign, let's say, A is equal to 5. So it will take 101, means 124. And then all 32 bits will be used to save that 5. In what format? In integer binary format. All right. So that will be saved in here. A is now mapped to 57. Why? Because the memory that is held for this integer A starts from 57. Okay, so now A is mapped to 57. So if you assign anything to A, it will go at address 57. If you read A, system will read from the address 57 and onwards 2 bits. That is declaration. Now there is something which is actually absolutely necessary to understand, that when computer's memory is reserved, that memory might have some data from the previous program. Earlier computer languages did not have any mechanism to clean the space when the program gets out. So naturally, when the program gets out, they used to leave the bits in it. But that area is now reported as free, so that any other program, if it likes, it can actually reserve that space. I hope that you got the idea. A program, a variable is held in computer's RAM. You close the program, that space that was reserved for the variable is also released. The space for the program is also released. Okay. Now, the data is there, but that space is now available for other programs to take up. So when other programs will take up, they will reserve this space for their own variable. Previously put data will also be assigned to that new variable. But that data will be now called garbage because it has no meanings for the new variable which is just created. So in order to remove that garbage, we assign the first value. That first value might not mean anything to us. For example, if it is a student ID and we make it 0, because it has not yet been used, the variable is just declared, it is fine. But that 0 will do wonders in terms that it will get rid of this garbage which was assigned automatically to the variable that we have just declared. Okay, this act of assigning the first value, to a variable in order this internet is troubling me. All right. So I was telling that initialization is basically assigning the first value to get rid of this garbage. Now, whenever a new variable is declared, it occupies some space in computer's main memory. this occupied space might already have some data from the previous program loaded at that particular space. This already present data is then automatically assigned to the newly created variable and regarded as garbage. This garbage data is unwanted and needs to be removed. The removal of this garbage data before actually using the variable or the identifier is called initialization. Okay, they might ask you. There are always marks allocated for initialization. It is expected that when we create a variable, we should initialize it. For declaration, there are marks allocated. For initialization, there are marks allocated. So no matter if I do it or don't, there are always marks allocated for initialization and declaration. So this will be something that you have to remember. Now comes record data type. What does it mean, record data type? Sometimes naturally we don't want to just input one single variable, but we like to actually input data which is not in just one variable but few of the related variables. Like we want to input data for a student ID, for student name, class, student address, fee, and student grade. That basically is associated data. When in general life we collect such data, we call it a record. Okay, what do we call it? Record. So there is a way keeping all these records like in database. Yes, it is like in database, but this is not database. This is just simply in the computer's memory. Everything about data types and data structure is computer's memory. Okay, so if you like to collect data from the user in groups, you can do that. That grouping is called records. So let's say you want to collect all this data for every student, but it is not a database. Remember, this is not a file. This is in computer's memory. This is not an array. So first we define a type, a record type. Okay, we will basically use a record type. Now, we use the word type and end type, and we will give it our own name. This is our type. Like you have just discussed so many other types, this is our type. I named it T for type and student record. You can name it anything. This is also an identifier, and this will be the same as other variables identifier. This will be made same as other variables identifier naming conventions. Okay, so we just put declare student ID as integer, declare student name as string, declare student class as string, declare student address as string, declare student fee as real, declare student grade as character, and we just grouped it into one of the type. And that type is this. Remember, these are not variables which are declared. This is not the variables yet declared. This is just a type that you have just made. Now you will create a variable of this type. What you have just made is not the variable. You have not grabbed any memory in computer's RAM. Rather, you have just created a type, and now you will create a variable of this type. That variable would have all the data under one name. Let's see how. So what I will do, I will use declare James record, James underscore record as T student record, type student record. This is in pseudocode. Declare James record as, instead of other intrinsic primitive already given data types, I have put my own data types name. This data type is called user defined type. So now declare James underscore record as type student record. So how we will access this data? This is very simple. Now this student record would have all of it. So I will be like James record dot student ID is equal to this. James record dot student name is equal to this. James record dot student class is equal to this. James record dot student address is equal to this, like that. I can have as many variables of this type as possible. They will be representing group of data individually, which is being held in different memory locations for every variable of this record data type. All right. So declare your identifier as what? Your UDT. In Visual Basic.NET, the word is not record or type, it is structure. So structure, student record, and then dim this as it is. So in pseudocode, it might be the word record or the type, and it will be accompanied with end record or end type. In Visual Basic, it is basically the structure. In Visual Basic, it will be the structure. Okay. So we will be using it. We will be using it while we are solving past paper questions. So now you can create as many records as you like dim my record as a student record. My record.student ID is equal to this, my record.student name is equal to this. And then you can create another variable of the same. Dim your record as student record, then your record.student ID is this, your record.student name is equal to this. So this is it as far as for the information about data types. Let's review our mind map and see what is covered and what is not, and what we are going to cover with the past paper questions. Now, to mind maps again. So we have seen what are data types, what are declarations, what are records, and now we will see these identifier tables. What are these identifier tables? Identifier tables are the tables which show you the identifier, its type, and its purpose. A table that shows the identifier, its type, and its purpose, and sometimes example values. But three things are for sure: type, identifier name, type, and its purpose. Almost every single program that you will write in exam will have this table either given or you will be asked to create this table. Okay. So I understand, beta, my internet is lagging. I'm getting disconnected. I'm trying to recover it, but I'm handcuffed. Anyways, so let's solve few of the questions which also cover the file sizing and identifier. Let's solve questions in latest to oldest fashion. I have questions from May, June 2018 till 2003. So let's see as many questions we can cover today will be enough to finish this one topic. Now, programming languages support different data types. Give an appropriate data type for each of the variables from part B1 and 2. Okay, we will look into it. Actually, if you do remember, I started off with the types and then examples, that these are the identifiers, and I told you that you should be remembering few of the identifiers which are related to these particular types. Now this is actually giving identifier and asking you to find the type of it. So let's see. Yes, Saad, you can. My greetings, this is a string data type. My initials, this would be string as well. Age in years, this would be integer. Weight, this would be real. Married, this would be Boolean. As you can see, greetings are the words. Initials are the characters, like my name is Zafar Ali Khan, so I can use, and I use several times, my initials. So this is Zafar Ali Khan, so ZAK. But this collection of initials is still a string. Age in years, integer. Weight it's a real thing because weight might be 65.5, 68.3, whatever. Married, Boolean, true, false. This table is identifier table, by the way, with 2 columns. This is another identifier table. So they say that this is identifier, you have to put the type of the identifier and description. From the description, you would have to sense that what type it will be. So accelerator, what is accelerator? Accelerator paddle position values from 0 to 100 is steps of 1. So this is integer. Engine temperature. Engine temperature in degree Celsius minus 50 to plus 150 stored in 1 decimal place. So this is real. Normal engine temperature, whole number. Okay, this is integer. Then road speed of car in kilometers per hour, values from 0 to 100, steps of 1. This is integer. Value used to signal engine must be stopped. Possible values true, stop engine false, run engine. So this is Boolean, true and false. Okay. A program is to be written from the following structured English design. We will discuss what is structured English later. Input name of horse. So input name, the identifier will be name, which is a string holding what? Name of horse. Input number of previous wins. So I might go with previous wins. This is integer. What it describes? Number of previous wins. This is identifier. This is type. This is description. penalty weight. So you can see that penalty weight over here is integer. No, Saad, we cannot write decimal in place of real. Be limited to what I have taught. You won't do anything beyond it, okay? Now, penalty weight is integer, penalty. Then penalty weight again, then name of horse, penalty weight. So you have to tell, you have to put all these three things in here. Okay, now now the company now wants a program to key in date entered by the user, search the text file for the date. This won't be relevant now since you don't have any idea of text files now. We will do this question later. So now this question, input race time as hours. So let's name it hours, minutes, let's name it minutes, and then seconds. Calculate race time in seconds. Race time, store race time in seconds. Output race time in seconds. So this is race hours. So let's modify the idea. Race minutes. This will be integer. The minutes part of the race time. Then race seconds. This would be integers, the second part of the race time. Then calculate the race time in second. Overall, total race time, and maybe in seconds. This is integer. Total race time in seconds. So it says before the program is written, the design is amended. The new design includes input of runner's current personal best marathon. The output will now show one of the following messages. Personal best time is unchanged. new personal time, new personal best time, equal personal best time. Show the additional variable needed for the new design. So we have to have personal best time. Data type will be integer, and you will write personal best time in seconds. Now, there are a few things which are very important to understand, and you would realize those on the way solving all the questions till the start. अब देखें, हमारे पास है title. Title is what? String. We have to decide that title will be of so many bytes. So if we take this is 1, 2, 3, space 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can put 15 bytes here, at least 15 bytes. Author, this would be string as well. Author again for 15 bytes, let's say. ISBN number, all those numbers which are not meant for calculations. All those numbers which are not meant for calculations are basically strings. All those numbers which are saved not for calculations but for identification are saved as a string. Now the nature of this string is kind of fixed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then comes number of pages. So this is integer. It takes 4 bytes. Book price. This is currency. This is 8 bytes. Date started. This is date data type. Whatever the shape it is taking, it is 8 bytes. Date finished. This is date as well. 8 bytes. Is paper back? This is Boolean. We can sense that from example data, 1 byte. Rating 0 to 5. This is integer. Integer is saved with 4 bytes. Now, use a high-level language. Every program that demands high-level language, we will turn it into pseudocode, because this year every question will be use pseudocode to define course record with identifier, course record type, and the field listed in part A. So we be like type course record type, and then we have all these variables. Now first we have to define what are the data types. As you can see, these are all numbers, but a number when saved, it cannot be saved with the leading 0. And I told you that all those numbers which are meant for identification are basically not saved as integers or numbers, rather they are saved as string. So this course code will be a string. And the size will be exactly what the number says: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bytes. Then we have title. This is a string again. Make title 20 or 25. Whenever it is a string, it's your own judgment. But that should not be, that should be rational, that should not be abrupt or irrational. Tutor, 3 letters initial. So this is a string, but the size should be 3 because it is actually fixed. Day of week, 1 for Monday, 7 for Sunday. So they are actually saving a digit. So this is integer, 4 bytes. Lab based, this is Boolean, 1 byte. Session in hours, so you can see that this is real, 4 bytes. Course fee, you can see this is currency. Currency is of 8 bytes. Date start, it's date, 8 bytes. End date, it's date and it's 8 bytes. So you can see we have made it. Now you have to create a type out of it. So declare course code. You have to take these names because these are the identifier names given as a string. Declare. Second one is title as a string. And we will take rest all of these until here, the last one. And then we put and type. This is created. The question says use pseudocode to define course record that record with identifier, course record type, and field listed in part A. We have done it. You would have to write every single identifier here and with its respective data type. Now, this is a plain sir, we not write all the string once together. No, no more in declaration. We don't do that in pseudocode. It is always a good idea to, in questions which are directly asking for that, it is not a good idea. When we will program, we would have leverage. अच्छा, अब आप देखें, in over this plane, you have to sense that what this type would be. First of all, we have to understand that what are the values for initialization. What are the values for initialization? That is absolutely necessary. What is initialization? Initialization is basically the first value that we assign to a variable in order to clean the garbage. Okay, so these are the values which we should put until or unless it is mentioned to put any other value. If it is integer, initialize it with 0, like a is equal to 0. If it is real, initialize it with 0. It is currency, initialize it with 0. If it is text or character, then initialize it with null. Null is what? Double quotation for string without any space in between it, and single character for characters without any space between it. This is called null. Null means nothing. Null means nothing. And then we initialize Boolean with false. Date and time we don't initialize basically. If we need to initialize date and time, what we do? We basically assign the latest time and date to it. All right. So let's get back to the question. Now see over here, there are 3 values over this plane. These values are null. This is not. This is cross. These are 3 values. What data type will it be? It will be character. It is not Boolean. Do not use word Boolean. Had this been Boolean, you would see false, false, false over here. Since you see nothing in here, it means it is